Thank you, Lori. Welcome everyone to the Muximus webinar from MoxLab. What we're going to do today is to discuss the tool that MoxLab has developed to allow you to do management, control, and automation of any AV over IP system. My name is Jose Mosota. I'm the president of Freeman Solutions, and I work with MoxLab in their academy. I hold the CTS and CTSI certifications from AVIXA, also the new Audio Visual Networking Professional certification. I'm Dante certified for DDM and regular Dante, SDVOE design partner, HD-based trainer, and I hold the Google Cybersecurity certificate. The goal of today's webinar is, number one, to discuss why is it so important to have a management, control, and automation tool when you're doing an AV over IP solution, an AV over IP system installation. Then we're going to introduce the Muximus, the tool that MoxLab has developed, and we're going to do a complete tour over all the capabilities of Muximus. So we'll go through a lot of screens, but I hope that that will give you a good understanding of what the tool can do for you. And then afterwards, at the end, we're briefly going to review the AV over IP solutions that MoxLab can offer you, where you can actually go and utilize Muximus to do the management, control, and automation. And please participate. You can type any questions you have on the chat. If they are about the recording or some information regarding MoxLab, then Lori will answer them. Otherwise, I will try to answer them during the webinar or at the end of the webinar. The first question is, why do we actually use a network when we want to transport an AV payload? And the reasons why we use a network will give you the reasons why we need to do management, control, and automation. As you probably know, since you are in this webinar, an AV over IP system, it is flexible and it's expandable. You can grow on a port-by-port basis. You want to add a source, you just have to add a encoder and connect it to the switch. You want to add a decoder, you can connect it to the switch. You want to add more users, you can add an extra switch. So it is extremely flexible and easy to grow. The systems are only limited by the network bandwidth, and you can control that with the compression that you use on your payloads. It supports the virtual architectural rearrangement, and that's where the management, control, and automation is critical. What that means is that you don't need to go like in traditional AV systems to the work site to actually change a cable from one source to one display. You can sit remotely and you can actually do anything you want to your AV over IP system. It also supports point-to-point and point-to-multipoint, that multicast that many of AV professionals want to be able to enjoy when they create an AV over IP solution. And again, for that is very important to be able to monitor, control, and automate your system. It is also centrally managed, and obviously for central management, being able to monitor, control, and automate from one place, it is extremely useful. So on a typical AV over IP system, multi-source, multi-display that you will set up, you would have, for example, a series of sources like media players, Blu-ray, audio systems, etc. You will then require some transmitters or encoders, because you need to encode the signal to put it into a network, and that encoder will also do different levels of compression depending on the bandwidth that you have available on your network. And then after that, after the signal it's inside your network, you can do unicast, you can do multicast, but for any of the outputs, you're going to need a decoder that will take the signal and convert it into an HDMI or DisplayPort or whatever type of output you require, and you will require one encoder per source and one decoder per display. If you have a video wall, you need also a decoder for each one of the components of the video wall. Now, sitting on that network, you're going to have a network controller. This is the way that MoxLab has decided to allow you to manage, control, and automate your network. And that network controller will give you a lot of capabilities as to what you can do to correlate your sources with your displays. So let's look quickly at Muximus. Muximus is the tool for manage, control, and automation. And if we start with Muximus, we're going to go into a login screen. The login screen would be at a set IP address from the get-go on the box that you're connecting to your network. In that login screen, you can already see that it's going to be very intuitive, because on the left, you have a running menu that will give you all the capabilities of Muximus. For this particular webinar, we went into the MuxLab location in Montreal, and we used a demo rack that had 4 different sources, quite a few receivers, and some screens to do the display, so that we could actually see what we were doing with the demonstration. First, in the menu, you will see the dashboard. And the dashboard kind of starts giving you the idea that you can automate things and you can monitor things. Automate things because there are some quick actions on the dashboard. I said that in this particular demo, we have 4 sources. We have labeled them Blu-ray, Apple TV, Android TV, Signature Player. Not necessarily that's what they do, but we label them to be able to identify them. And you can select them to go to all the receivers. You can select them to go to 1 receiver. So those are quick actions that you can program in your dashboard to automate your system. It also gives you monitoring, because at a glance, it will tell you all the devices that Muximus is detecting on your network, all the different MuxLab devices, transmitters, receivers, Bluetooth, PCs that you have maybe running Dante Domain Manager. Everything in the system will be shown in the dashboard. So that gives you automation, and that gives you monitoring. The next thing is that it also gives you notifications. So if one of the devices goes offline, then there will be a notification that will tell you the device that you have in the system is there, but it's actually offline, and that allows you then to monitor your system with a lot of detail. Then you can go to the next level on the menu, and that will be Device Manager. And like its name, it indicates that you can manage all your devices. It will show all the devices that you have in the system. It will show you their status, their location, if you have identified them physically in the environment or with your physical topology. It will tell you the model, the firmware that you're running, the network IP address, etc. Not only that, if you click on one of the devices, it will actually show you what is it that it is presenting, what is it that it is displaying. So that gives you an extra level of monitoring and control. It allows you to go into the device itself, looking into more detail about the network address, the IP address, etc. And it also allows you to see if you have a firmware update available, and if it is, you can update it directly from this menu, making it very easy to do firmware updates. And we have also integrated Dante devices into Muximus, because now MuxLab offers you a complete Dante ecosystem. You can run Dante devices using Dante Controller, Dante Domain Manager, but if you are also using a MuxLab solution, by using Muximus, you can integrate all your Dante devices into the Muximus solution, and you don't need to run 2 separate softwares to do the control of the devices. You can also do discovery of specific devices. So in case that you want to know how many receivers you have, how many transmitters, and you don't want to have all the information for every device in your screen, you can do an auto discovery, for example, of receivers, of transmitters, and when you refresh, you will only get the information related to those devices. So that allows you to have a control that is very granular. Let's say that you have 100 devices in your system. Instead of looking at all of them, you can in detail go to the kind of device that you actually want to scan for. And if you are also using Dante Domain Manager, then you have to introduce the information regarding the Dante Domain Manager controller that you have in the system, but you can use it or you can stop using it. So it gives you a lot of flexibility as to how do you want to handle your Dante devices that you have in your system. Then the next line on the menu after device manager will be presets and routing. And presets and routing, it's all about automation. Essentially, whenever you do AV over IP, you have sources, you have displays, and you need to indicate which sources go to which displays. And that is the heart of being able to do an AV over IP system. So here you can do presets and routing for simple receivers. You can do it for digital signage. You can do it for Dante devices inside the Muximus app. So if you're going to work with simple receivers, you can see all your receivers, and you can see also what are they playing right now. But you can also see all your sources so that you can correlate the different sources with the different receivers to establish the presets. And if you go into the display, you can also see what each one of them is actually displaying. So that gives you a very high level of monitoring and control for your devices and your presets. If you do a digital signage, then you can also look at the different windows that you may have in your screen and indicate what do you want to see in each one of those screens. And if you have Dante devices running, this screen would be familiar to most of you. It looks almost identical to Dante controller. It is exactly the same idea, but it's the way in which MuxLab has brought the control of the Dante devices into the Muximus solution, so that you don't need to run two separate control screens when you're working with your AV over IP system on a Dante environment. Here you can see all your transmitters for Dante and all your receivers, and you just can establish the connections between them like you would do actually on Dante controller. Okay, so you can see here in more detail, you can open all the sub options on each one of the transmitters or on each one of the receivers, and that will allow you then to establish the connection between the transmitter and the receiver. It's almost like using Dante controller, but without leaving the Muximus environment. Okay. Then after the presets and routing and the device manager, that really gives you everything you need about monitoring, control, and automation. Then you can get more details regarding the setup of some of the features that you want to use on an AV over IP system. The first one would be locations. Let's say that you have different areas in your building, in your theater, in your congress center, etc., and you want to group the devices by location. Then you can go into the locations tab, and in the locations tab you can select which devices you are going to assign to each one of the locations. If you're going to have a video wall, then you can create your video wall. And the way that you can create a video wall by using Muximus, it is fairly simple. You just select that you want to create your video wall. It will allow you to choose a name for your video wall and a size for your video wall from a drop-down menu, or you can do a custom video wall if you would like to. Then if you have selected a 2x2, you have, for example, in this case, the 4 screens, and you have 4 transmitters available. So you could select to have one of the transmitters for the 4 screens, or you can select the 4 transmitters into each one of the screens of the video wall. So it is extremely user-friendly. It is extremely easy to utilize when you look at the screen and you see exactly what you're going to get. So then you can define the size for your displays in case that you actually want to see a presentation without any bezels, or with bezels. You can define the size of the bezels to optimize your video wall and to make the user experience better when people are actually looking at that video wall. So this is actually a tool that allows you to manage, control, and automate your video wall. You can create your layouts, and you can create as many multi-zones layouts as you need to. And finally, you're going to see your full video wall. You're going to see all your transmitters, and you can actually do also drag and drop. So you could pick up any of the sources and just drop it into one of the components of the video wall that you have created. Remember, we started with a 2 2x2 video wall, and we have actually gone then and seen in this slide that we do have the 2x2 video wall, and then we can go ahead and decide what you want to show in each one of the components of the video wall. Okay, so for example, in this case, you may want to use one transmitter only on the full video wall. So by just dragging and dropping that, you will get the full video wall for only that one transmitter. Okay. This is an example of the rack that I show you we had for this test when we were creating this presentation. And in this case, we created a video wall with only one display for the video wall. Obviously, in this case, we're not adjusting bezels or anything. But by the way, this is a very interesting two-display rack mounting display that you can get also from MoxLab. There's also a version with 3 displays that are slightly smaller, but it is very convenient when you're trying to control and monitor your system. You can also create a multi-view. So instead of now talking about a video wall, you could have a multi-view in one particular display. And to create the multi-view, again, it's also very user-friendly and very simple to do. You go in and decide what type of multi-view you want to create. If you want to do a single TV grid designer, or you want a multi-TV grid designer, that is probably easily to do it with a video wall, but you could also do it from multi-view. And on the multi-view, you're going to start selecting different sizes of the different content that you're going to present on the particular screen of the multi-view. So you can play with that on the screen. And this is an example of various multi-views that we created for this particular demo. So we have here 2 sources coming into one display, one on top of another. We have just one source in this case. We have the 2 sources now, one separate from the other. So everything that you may want to do, you can do it by working from this particular screen, where you are going to define your grid, and then you're going to apply the content that you're going to show on each one of the portions of the multi-view that you have created. Okay, then we go into the users menu, and the users menu will allow you to create users for your Muximus, for your AV over IP system, and you can select the roles, and the different roles will have different capabilities that you can define in the software. So you can be an administrator, you can be an operator, or you can just be a visitor, somebody that is going to be allowed to do minimum interaction with the system. Okay. So then you can select the users, and you can select the roles of the users. You also have access to the settings for your system, for your network. You can look at the network, you can look at if we're using DHCP, what is the IP address information, the subnet mask, the gateway, the MAC address of the particular box that we are using for this Muximus system, the network controller. You can also look at changing the date and the time, doing backups, looking at the logs, very, very important, especially when we're looking at any kind of security consideration. You can do software updates, and you can also use a small management transport protocol for your network to do controller if you want to use SMTP. Now, interesting also that the screen for the settings can be used in 3 different languages. So we have it available in English, but you can also use it in French, and we also have a Spanish version for that. So that would allow customers that are more familiar with languages different than English to also interact with Muximus in a way that they feel comfortable with. Okay, so that very quickly is kind of the different properties of Muximus. If you look at the screen here for the menu on the left, you see actually, let's put it in English, all the different options that we have gone through. So the first thing that you will do when you get into running Muximus will be the dashboard, and the dashboard is really the point where you start. That shows you what everything that is going on in your system. It allows you to do some quick presets if you want to run any particular automation immediately. Then besides having the dashboard, you can interact with any of the devices like we discussed. You can see what they are doing, you can see their properties, you can see the firmware that they are running, you can look at their IP addresses, so you can interact in a lot of detail with the devices. And once you have the devices identified and in the locations that you want them, you can create the presets and the routing. So you can see the menu here has a natural flow to what you would do when you're using a management and control system, from looking at everything, looking at every device and doing the presets and the routing for the devices. Then after that, you can do more complex setups like define locations, like create video walls, create multi-views, allow users to interact with the system and look at the system settings in different languages, even Spanish, English, or French. So that opens for you a world of possibilities. There are many tools and systems out there that will allow you to monitor your system. It will be just discovery. So you will use those tools to discover the transmitters and receivers that you have in your system, but that's only one part of the equation. There are tools that allow you to do control. There are many things from Control4, from Crestron, from many manufacturers that allow you QSC to control your system, but that's again another part of the equation. And finally, there are tools that allow you to create presets and automate your design. Like when you're using digital signage, you may have a tool that is specific for your digital signage, but again, that's another part of the equation. In the case of Muximus, we have all those things into one place, all those things into one software that will run on your network and that will allow you to do monitor, control, and automation. So that gives you a very high level of control over your AV over IP system. No matter what your vertical is, if you're working in the home environment, if you're working for classrooms on a college or higher education or high school system, for digital signage, if you're creating systems for boardrooms, if you're into broadcast, medical imaging, sports bars and restaurants, security, doesn't matter what your vertical is. In all of those verticals, you always need to monitor, control, and automate. And that's the capability that Muximus gives you when you use an AV over IP system from MuxLab. And what are you going to do then? You have to decide which one of the AV over IP systems you require, and that's going to be a function of what is your end user needs. Do you want something that has a lot of compression, but that it has a relatively low latency? So you can use the MIP 100 series that will run MJPEG up to 1080p. However, if you need now a better solution because you have a 4K signal 420, you could use a JPEG system that will handle that with the MEP 200, or you can actually move over to the MIP 300 for a JPEG system that will allow you to use 4K 60 444 signals on your system. If you want to use SDVoE, if you have a 10 gigabit network, if you have a system that is critical in terms of trying to get the image transported with as little compression as possible, like for example, in the case of medical imaging, then MuxLab also offers you with the MIP 400 and SDVoE solution. But if you're going to do streaming on the opposite side and you need the lowest possible bandwidth to be able to carry that stream, probably over the Ethernet, over the internet, then you can use the MIP 600 series that utilizes H.264, H.265 compression. That, as you know, can lower the bandwidth of your signal even down to 3-4 megabits per second, which is what they use for the cable TV that you get in your home. You just have to live, if you're streaming with that kind of compression, with the latency that it's included in the system because of the time that it takes to compress the signal that much. And finally, if you actually want to get your feet wet into SMPTE 2110, which is a broadcast kind of transport protocol, but that is becoming also more popular for Pro AV through the implementation of the IPMX protocol, you can play around with the MIP 800 series of MUXLab that will give you actually an actual SMPTE 2110 streams into the network. That means the HDMI or SDI signal that you're going to put on the network is going to be broken into the essence streams of SMPTE 2110, and the audio will be carried separate from the video, separate from the ancillary data, and separate from the timing, and will allow you to interact with each one of those streams without disturbing the others. But the streams will be assembled at the end because of the information that goes with the headers that are transporting the packets through the network, and that allows you to understand what SMPTE 2110 can actually do for you. As I said previously, also MUXLab does now have a complete ecosystem of Dante solutions. And since we have the Dante solution, we also added that, as I showed, into the Muximus app, so that you don't need to use a separate Dante controller or Dante domain manager. You can actually run it from your Muximus solution. And in the case of Dante, we do have the encoders that will allow you to take the audio signal and turn it into a network signal capable of communicating with Dante devices. We also have input-output interfaces that will allow you to bring the signal into the network or to extract the signal from the network. We have speakers that are Dante ready, so those are network capable speakers that you can connect to the network and get the Dante audio directly out of the network through those speakers. And we also have wall plate solutions that allow you to interact with Bluetooth devices. So if you have a Bluetooth source, you can actually use these wall plates to enter the Bluetooth data into the network through the wall plates. In case that you need to modify your audio to have a little bit more control over the audio, to do any kind of modulation of that audio, we do have a digital signal processor that is Dante capable with 4-channel in, 4-channel out. And if you don't want to use Dante speakers, you want to use regular analog speakers, then we also have an amplifier that can take a Dante signal, amplify it, and turn it into an analog signal that you can then broadcast into your regular speakers. So not only can we offer you all the possible options of AV over IP, from the highest type of compression, the lossy compression of H.264, to the minimum compression of SDVoE, Blue River, NT compression technology, also the SMPTE 2110 options, to the addition of the Dante ecosystem. And in order to be able to expand the kind of solutions that we are providing to our customers, we have also teamed with some of the biggest names on the business in order to provide the best over IP systems. So when we're talking about switching, our systems are compatible with both Netgear, that has developed a complete line of AV switches for the professional AV market, or Cisco, which continues to be like the gold standard, the elephant in the room when it comes to switchers. And any of our systems can actually be connected with third-party drivers and plugins with the biggest names in the control environment, so we can work with QCs, we are technology partners, we can work with Crestron, with Control4, with RTI, and with URC. So that shows you that the kind of solutions that we are offering are trying to be compatible with most of the names that are happening in the AV over IP market, in order for you to be able to use whatever other solutions you're familiar with or that you have installed, but to add our AV over IP solutions to your arsenal of tools to provide solutions for your customers. Well, thank you very much. This is what we had planned for today. It's always hard when you're showing a particular software application with screens to determine how long you're going to stay on each one of the screens. However, as you know, this will be available on a recording so that you can actually go and look at the screens in more detail if you need to. And if you have any questions, you can always contact the MoxLab team, so salesteam@moxlab.com and the phone number, or if you have any questions that I can help you with, you can also contact me at fremansolutions@gmail.com.